Hello, YouTube. We need to talk. Greetings, friends and YouTube friends and people. Oh, it's never not awkward. It's never not awkward when I do an intro. Well, hi. All right, so let's just go with hi. That's fine. Scenery's a little different today. I'm doing some work up in my office, and things are kind of being moved around a little bit, and it's not exactly the way I want it. So I thought, you know what? Let me just haul all of my crap down here and do some filming in front of my bookshelves, which are essentially plant shelves. I have an issue. I like to get plants and then neglect them until they die. They're fine. Most of them are healthy and they're good. It's just I need to make sure that I get ones that don't need water or sunlight. Can be a problem. Still, they bring me joy. So I'm down here in my joyous spot to talk to you about a few different things. And some frank talk, some really just kind of open INFJ chatting with you guys, because there's a couple things that have been on my mind and that I wanted to cover. First of all, if you're wondering, I'm okay-ish, and it's fine to be okay-ish, and take that as a lesson for you too. It's okay to be okay-ish. It's okay-ish to be. It's okay to be okay-ish. Yeah, no, I said that right. Like everybody, I wish certain aspects of my life were on more solid footing and more solid ground, but I've had a lot of changes and a lot of upheaval lately, and I am settling in and doing all right and trying to get back into the swing of things and just sort of keep the mood up and keep the anxiety and the panic attacks down with limited measures of success. There are three things that I want to talk to you about today. I want to talk to you about criticism, I want to talk to you about regret, and I want to talk to you about self-worth. Because I think these three things kind of tie together in a really interesting way, in that your self-worth can be knocked down when you receive criticism, and it could be criticism in any form, whether it's at work, whether it's in a relationship, whether it's just in personal life and friendships and whatever else. And that criticism can absolutely affect your self-worth. Your self-worth ends up getting knocked down and can make you regret things that you have done or said or decisions that you have made. And so I'd like to talk to you about all three of those things and kind of how they tie together, and just do this from the perspective of an INFJ mind. And so let's have a discussion about it and just sort of, kind of free form. Do me a favor. Before I start, if this is the first time you're watching something, please write a comment. I know, I'm not asking you to go around the room and introduce yourselves. I'm not a monster. It just makes me really happy when I see you interacting with each other in the comments. So I haven't been posting very frequently lately. I am trying desperately to change that. A lot of you are friends with each other, and you've known each other in the comments of my channel for quite some time. So if you haven't said hi to each other in a while, please go say hi to each other, write some comments, support one another, give some thumbs up to somebody else, throw some hearts on somebody else, and just kind of chime in and say what's on your mind as you go through this video with me. And we just kind of have this open discussion. Fair enough? Okay, good. The first topic that I want to talk to you about is criticism. And this is something that hits particularly hard for an INFJ, and there are reasons for that. So, okay, if you don't know what an INFJ is, the entirety of the internet is at your fingertips. Please look up MBTI space INFJ. You'll understand, take the test yourself, see if you are one of us aliens, and if you are, come back and please subscribe. That'd be great. Criticism tends to hit us because we are people pleasers. We want harmony, and we want the emotions of other people and the feelings of other people to be smoothed over. We want that to be okay. We want other people to be okay. We want them to realize and understand that we can be there to support them, and that they have value. It's very important for us. It's critical for us that people remain happy. And when there is disharmony, it affects us in such a deep way. The reason for that is because extroverted feeling is very high in our cognitive function stack. It's one of the main ways that we make decisions. We prioritize other people's emotions to make our decisions more often than not. Granted, everybody is different. There is a difference between your cognitive function and your personality. You can be an INFJ and you can be a jerk. For the most part, for the vast majority of us out there, that extroverted feeling is very high, that empathy is very high, we tend to be highly sensitive people, and so it can hit us really hard when somebody is upset with us and somebody is throwing out a critique towards us. When you're the person who tends to make your decisions based on the emotions of others, and the emotions of somebody are harsh or are highly critical of you, that can hit you. And that can hit you pretty hard. So it could manifest at work. You could receive some kind of a demerit of some kind, a critique of some kind, a write-up of some kind, or some kind of scolding from upper management or what have you. And that can absolutely drag you down to the point where you're like, holy cow, I'm going to get fired because I made this silly mistake and I used the wrong color kind of paperclip on a bunch of paper or whatever. Realistically, most of us are working from home these days and we're just in our pajamas and our fuzzy bunny slippers. So it doesn't matter what the hell kind of paperclip we use. Using it as an example, okay? So just stick with me on this. In matters of love, it can be a relationship where somebody will say to you, you know what, you said something or you did something that hurt me. And when you as an INFJ hear that, it's a crushing blow. It's really hard. It's hard to hear. It's hard to wrap your head around. And you end up just thinking you're the worst person in the world because you were the one who caused the disharmony. So remember, your extroverted feeling is really high up in that cognitive function stack. It's second in line to intuition. So when you're the reason that it happened, it hits even harder because you caused the disharmony in some way. And that's really hard. That's really, really hard to get around. And you'll end up overcompensating. You'll end up apologizing for existing. I'm really sorry. I feel bad that you feel bad, that I feel bad, that you felt bad, that I felt bad, are things that you may end up saying to another person. Totally not taking that example out of a personal handbook, but whatever, it's fine. Now here's a part where I'm going to be really honest with you. I have not wanted to record a video in the last week or so because something happened recently and I received a message in the comments on one of my videos, the last one that I posted. And it was a personal shot at me from somebody who was, I considered a friend and was in my life. Now, I haven't seen this person in probably 9 months or more, but we have shared meals together and we have spent time together in a group of friends type of setting. And this person obviously felt judgmental and disapproved of the changes that I have went through in the past year to two. And in particular, the decisions that I've made in the last 6 months or so. And decided to waltz into the comment section and let that be known. Not in a super abusive way, but certainly took a personal shot. Now look, I see the comments as kind of my living room, right? This channel's my home. I want to be on here. I want to help you. I want to talk to you. I want to be able to interact. And I look at it as if somebody walked into my personal space and said some things to me that were really unkind. It's similar to me opening the front door of my space here in the physical world and somebody walking in and being judgmental and saying these things about me right here in my space. That criticism cut, and it was undeserved because I have not spoken to this person in a very long time. And if anything, it just took me a good 4 to 5 days of feeling really awful and then coming to a realization that they're the judgmental jerk, not me. And if somebody's going to basically say, I have a problem with you, you've got to remember that the first few words of that sentence are, I have a problem. They have a problem, not you. Your actions and who you are don't need to be justified by anybody. You live your life, and you do it the best way you can, and you make the decisions that you feel are best for you, because you're the one that has your back, and it is ultimately your life, your experiences, and everything is colored through your lens. So when critiques happen, when somebody is judgmental, and believe me, I have every opportunity to be judgmental back, I just chose instead to ban the person and be done with it. Your perspective here is what really matters. Where is that critique coming from? And is it in fact, as it was in my case, somebody in a very thin-walled glass house just decided to throw some stones because they were just bored or feeling bitchy or whatever? And I think as INFJs, we tend to not have the ability to step back and realize that if somebody is being hypercritical of us, where is that coming from? Is it deserved? And do they actually see things from our perspective? It took me a while to sit down and realize, wait a second, why am I hurting over this? And why do I just want to not upload a video? Because somebody else has an opinion of me and I haven't spoken to them in 9 months because they took some circumstance, filled some crap in their own head, and decided to just pop onto a public forum and say some crap about me. When I frame it that way, this person's worthless. It's really all there is to it. And I came to that decision. It took a while, but I came to that decision after my extroverted feeling calmed down. And after that internal voice, introverted feeling, which is in your shadow stack, by the way, was telling me that I deserved it and I'm the worst person in the world. And it just takes a minute to wake up and be like, wait a second. They have a problem. I don't have a problem. And that brings us into a discussion of self-worth. Now listen, my sweet, sweet INFJs. You are not a burden to the world. You are not a burden to the people around you. You are not a burden to your friends. You are not a burden to your families. You are not a burden to yourself. You are absolutely a bright, shining light in this world, and you should be that person. Don't let anybody tell you differently. Because if they have a problem with you, again, they have a problem, not you. And here's where I get a little triggered by a lot of my INFJ friends because you're like, nobody understands me and I'm so misunderstood and et cetera, et cetera. And I have absolutely been that person, right? There's a reason we refer to each other affectionately as aliens, because we do feel that way. We feel misunderstood. We feel like things we say are often taken out of context, that we can't have these interactions where just everything can actually make sense. And we start to wonder, is there something wrong with me? No, there's nothing wrong with you. You're a sensitive thinker. You're a feeler. You're an intuitive who sees the world in such an amazing kaleidoscopic lens where you can absorb all of this information about all of these different things, and you crave harmony and you crave peace and you work towards those ends. And just because you feel something so strongly, or you're unable to articulate what it is that's actually going on in your head and your heart, doesn't mean something's wrong with you. But if somebody has no patience for you, something's wrong with them. What you need to do is take your self-worth and start putting it on a much higher shelf than you do, if you feel that way. Because you are a critical person. You are important to everybody that is in your life. You are important to me, and you are loved by me. I promise you, seeing you here in the comments, interacting with you, the relationships that I've built with some of you, and the friends that I've made has been really incredible. And I can see it. And I see this pattern over and over and over again. I talk to a lot of INFJs, people, lots of them. And it's hilarious sometimes how similar you all are, but you're all out there feeling alone, Well, just freaking look around. This is why I'm telling you to get into the comments and talk to one another. Because you all have these things in common. You all feel like the misfits, but when you're all feeling like the misfits, you actually have a lot in common with so many people. It's a great way to bond. When you're with another person who's an INFJ, and you both feel a little lost, and you both feel a little confused, and maybe you both feel like you are a burden to others, or you have both felt at one point or another that something's been wrong with you. And then you come to this realization of, wait a second, we're sitting here staring at each other and saying these things, but I get you. I understand you. And we're the same. And when you start to make those friendships and those bonds with people that feel that way, it's very fulfilling. The last thing I want to touch on, just getting some of these thoughts out here, is regret. Now listen, regret for an INFJ is something that hits particularly hard because we are intuitives and we tend to look at past and future together. We tend to look at our decisions and we remember how people have felt when we have made certain decisions that may have hurt them or that may have altered our path. This is something that I can obviously speak on through some of the things that I've been through lately. I don't remember as many words as were said, but I remember the feelings that happened during very adverse circumstances. And those feelings, they echo, they linger. It's a lot like throwing a stone into a pond, right? Some kind of an event happened that was an adverse circumstance, and those ripples get sent out and they keep going. And they will hit the edge of that pond and they will start to come back in and they will refocus on the center and they will ripple out to the edge again and they will refocus on the center again. What you have to remember is that that water will settle and it will become clear again. Just because it's agitated one day doesn't mean it's going to stay agitated forever. There's a quote that I want to share with you, and it's common enough. Like I can't really, I'm going to attribute it to something because it's the first time I heard it, which is kind of funny. But the quote is, "It is better to regret something that you have done than to regret something that you haven't done." Now, the first time I heard that, I was listening to a song by a band called the Butthole Surfers. I listen to weird music, people. Okay, it's a thing. Actually, it was a pretty good song. But it's true. You take your shot and you take your chance at things and you do the best that you can. And instead of torturing your mind and throwing yourself into that NITI loop where you're overthinking and then gathering information and overthinking and gathering information and overthinking, and all of that surrounding the regret of something that you have not done or you wish you could have changed or done better, forget it. It's in the book. It's written down. It's in the past. It is done. And I promise you, today, you are a better person than you were when you made those decisions that possibly had some regret surrounding them. Because they put you on a path. And that's the path that you're on now. And even if those decisions impacted you in a negative way, they were absolutely a lesson learned. Think of it this way. We're going to go into the multiverse theory, right? That anytime you make a decision, everything splits off. Reality splits. And there is the you that made that decision, and then there's the you that decided not to. The you that made that decision, that's in your past or somewhere else, is absolutely trying to teach you a lesson. And they're giving you this information. This is what you did. This is the decision that you made. And that decision cascaded down, and this is what happened. Now, you, in the present moment, in this reality, you're learning something. And you can alter your path with new information. And that's the information of how decisions that you made prior have altered your trajectory. Are you going to decide to be the same person if you have some regrets about something that you've done? Or are you going to decide to not do those things again, and to be better, and to grow, and to communicate, and to move forward with a different outlook, one that's more positive. When I think about my life and all of the decisions that I've made, good and bad, plenty of both, I haven't a single regret. There are things, obviously, I wish I could change. If I could have spent more time with my brother before he passed, I would have done that. And there are things that I look at and I think, wow, I handled that circumstance so very well. Being able to, this past last summer, when my father was passing away, when he was in really ill health, and then, the day he passed, I was able to sit there and hold his hand and tell him that I loved him. And that moment was something that happened to me because of the feelings that I had surrounding my brother's passing, where he was gone in a blink and nobody saw it coming. And then all of a sudden there was all this regret about not being able to spend more time with him, not being able to say I love you one more time. And all those different things, all those stupid, silly arguments that we had as brothers or whatever else. That all affected me in such a way, and that past me talked to the me that was in the present and said, listen, you know what that felt like. You're going to be a better person right now. You're going to sit next to your dad. You're going to hold his hand as he slips away. You're going to tell him you love him, and you're going to give him that great moment, and you will have closure and peace. And I did. Battery went dead, and so I had to replace the battery, so the frame might be a little different. I'm sorry about that. You're going to experience moments where you feel all this regret. Don't dive into that and just live in that past decision. You have to look forward and look at that as something that happened that is teaching you a lesson right now, today, and giving you the choice to handle things differently, to be a bigger person, to be a better person, and to search for and achieve the things that are so, so meaningful to you and fulfill you, the right things for you. You cannot please everybody. And I know what you're like. And I know that the emotions around somebody being critical of you are so awful. I have had that moment when I had somebody critique something that I was writing and just felt like ripping it all up and never writing another word again. And I was like, well, that's stupid. I've never met this person. They're just a person on the internet that read some of my words and happened to not like them. When I had that perspective, I kept writing. I finished a book, and it's doing really well. And I achieved a goal that I set out to do a couple of years ago, which was write a book, finish it, make it awesome, and have one person I don't know buy it, read it, and love it. And that's happened. It wouldn't have happened if I took that critical statement and let it destroy me. I wouldn't be on here today on this video talking to you if I let some asshole's comment a few days ago wreck me forever. Because I realize that they don't matter. And here I am, just trying to turn something negative into some positive energy for you. And lastly, that self-worth. Remember who you are. You are a miracle on this planet. You can walk around and you have the ability through tiny little interactions to change the world for the better. Whether it's through your art, a lot of fellow writers on here, whether it's through your words, keep writing because they're going to resonate with somebody, and you will absolutely find that connection with somebody who's going to tell you, oh my God, this meant so much to me. This resonated. This is one of the greatest things I've ever seen or read, and you changed my life for the better. That'll happen. Whether it's any kind of expression that you have, words that you have for other people. Perhaps you started a YouTube yourself, right? Your own channel, and you're reaching out there and affecting people. It doesn't take much, but you've got to be brave and do it. And you have to understand that your self-worth needs to be pretty high. And it should be, because you are walking around with the ability to change the world for the better. So do it. Help somebody. Do the things that make you happy. Keep your heart fulfilled. And hopefully give others a lesson at the same time, which is exactly what I'm trying to do for you right now. I am trying from my little space here in Connecticut to change the world for the better, just by giving you some of these positive, encouraging words. So thank you. If you have made it this far, do me a favor. When you write a comment, give me a little heart emoji down there, because I absolutely love you for sticking with me through what seems to be somewhere close to 20 minutes or half hour of me just blah, 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 blah. Right? I hope it's not all that boring. And if it is, I'm sorry. Just rewatch it and do that to help you fall asleep later. Also, don't skip the ads. It helps me. And the book is out. I know. Look, nobody's promoting this except for me, people. So I got to do what I can. If you have read it and have not reviewed it on Amazon, please, for the love of all that is freaking holy, review it on Amazon. If you haven't read it, there's an INFJ main character. It's a great book. People seem to love it. I have a lot of fun with it, and I had a great time writing it. And I absolutely love discussing the book with people. So please, pretty please, reach out, say hi, talk to each other in the comments, and let's just kind of keep this community rolling the way it is. Thank you so much for watching. I appreciate you, and I will see you very, very soon.